Hi, I'm Alyssa Fritzlaff, and today I'm here with Yolette and Flynn from Warragul Theatre Company's new production of Jekyll and Hyde. So Jekyll and Hyde is running from May 19th to May 27th, and there are 8 shows. Is that right, guys?
Yes.
8 shows in total?
Got to count them. I think there are, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Terrific. Alrighty, so how are you guys feeling? It's not too far away. What stage are we up to in the production?
Well, I think the consensus is we have a show.
Yes, exactly. It's a really good feeling in the air at the moment. We're all really happy where it is. I know this week for me, it's kind of hit me like a brick, like, oh, okay, we go on stage next week, which I was not emotionally prepared for, but no, I am. It's that mixture of nerves and excitement already, which is a really good feeling.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Musos are all good. They're all great local musos and a few from further afield, and we're feeling that the band's good and things are pretty tight. There's tweaky things to do, but that's always part of it. So pretty happy group of people. We get on really well. So
Yeah.
It's been good. It's been great fun, yeah.
Yeah, and can you each tell me about your role in the production and a bit about your background?
All right, I'll go first. So I'm part of the ensemble for this show, which has been so much fun getting to kind of build the world, I guess, around Jekyll and Hyde, because it does tend to focus on him and his kind of plots with Emma and Lucy, but the outside world, I think, and our reactions to that as the like Victorian society that we've created has been really fun, and the little stories and moments we all get to create together to kind of flesh that world out have been really exciting. I've been involved in local theatre for ages now. It's my first show with Warragul Theatre Company though, and I think it's been just an absolute cracker. The whole process, the show itself, the team, the cast, it's been such a good show for my first one with Warragul Theatre Company. So yeah.
Terrific. And Yolette, what about yourself?
I've been around for eons, so I'm rather ancient. So I work by day as a teacher, and I'm usually coordinating a department. So I had moved into the area some years ago with my children, and I was contacted and approached about conducting a show for Off the Leash last year, and did that, and then it sort of rolled on to doing the show this year with Jekyll and Hyde. But basically my history is all centred around doing hundreds and hundreds of shows for schools and stuff like that. So, and I was back in the 90s, pre-children, I was often doing shows as well with community groups as repetiteur, coach, sort of assistant MD stuff along the way. And so I've had a very long history with theatre, and I'm really delighted to be working on the show with everybody.
Terrific.
Yeah, it's fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've had a lot of experience. What's the sort of professional calibre you've been seeing at Warragul Theatre Company? I've been told it's just been getting higher.
Oh, yeah, it's very high. I think we're very lucky to have Michael Gray doing the role of Jekyll and Hyde. I was pretty clear about that. We needed somebody that was, professional calibre for the role, because it's very demanding. It's very physical. It's very tough on the role, very tough on the vocal cords. And there's the way Liam, our director, has been blocking things. I mean, you'll see it if you come to the show. It's a very, very physical, tactile kind of role. So Michael's falling on the ground, getting up, and he's singing these huge, big sort of semi-operatic numbers. We're all just sitting there going,
Yeah, but he has professional opera training.
Yeah, he's got opera. He's got an operatic background.
So terrific. So can you tell me a little bit about the sound of this show? I understand it's not like traditional musical theatre in a way. The sound, at least.
Yeah, it's very like gothic, I think is the word for it, in like style, but also in terms of its orchestration. Like it's very different to what you would expect with your traditional kind of stuff, I think, as you said.
At least the stuff we see around Warragul.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a different turn from, I think, what we've seen before. So Jekyll and Hyde's not a terribly well-known musical. And I didn't really know much about it except for the main kind of story of Jekyll and Hyde, 2 personalities, 1 guy. And I've just absolutely fallen in love with it. Like, it's these really intense, like almost romantic, I think, orchestrations that's balances itself out with its lightness and its darkness, and it plays really well with those 2 themes, I think, and that echoes through the music as well as through the story.
Yeah. So as an MD looking at the score, I find it in some senses traditional musical theatre scoring, but it's the songs, and I guess it's a lot of clashing chords in some section. You'll hear it if you
Yep.
come and listen to the show and watch the show. But at moments there are some really dark, sinister passages. You know, it's not your typical, we're going to break out into an anything goes tap dance routine, cheesy, happy type of show.
Well, depends where we are in the show, really.
Speak for yourself,
Yeah.
Yeah, so you touched on it a bit before, the traditional story of Jekyll and Hyde. For those listeners who may not know about Jekyll and Hyde, can you tell us the gist of the story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it follows the story of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll wants to, it all boils down to him wanting to cure his father, I think at the beginning. Through the splitting the duality of man into good and evil and ridding the world of the evil is his initial plan. But the experiment, all, not to give too much away, all goes haywire. And so it's kind of the consequences of what would happen if man's evil and good were split into two, and what the evil does and how that impacts on the good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of follows the story and the people who fall into that trap and who he gets involved with, and a little bit of romance here and there. And yeah, it just plays with the duality of that quite a bit.
And a reasonable amount of sinister, dangerous moments.
Oh,
as well.
absolutely.
If you like that.
Yeah. So do you have a favourite musical number that audiences can look forward to? Or?
Oh, look, a lot of the songs in the show are beautiful. I love Facade. It's just very driven, and I love all the choreography that Emily's put to it.
Yeah.
But I'm a big one for This Is the Moment, because that's the characters. This is the moment when it just goes.
Yeah.
Just because of the way the previous number slides into it, and it's really just such a turnaround. It's this kind of glorious. It's a musical ray of sunshine, if you want to put it like that, set against the backdrop of all these dark little themes that you've had presented so far. And you can look at the whole concept of This Is the Moment in a number of different ways. It's like, this is the moment we're going to find out what's going to happen with all these experiments I've been doing. And this is the moment where my theories are definitely going to be proved, but we find out there might be a question mark about whether or not that's the case. But it can be looked at in lots of, other ways as well. So this is the moment where I'm fulfilling some sort of destiny for the rest of mankind, you know, and it draws in, I think, not just the dark and the good sides, which Flynn's been talking about, but also the yin and the yang. So what's the role of the female or feminine essence here in the whole show as well? So you've got a lighter female character, but principled female character, and you've got a perhaps a less principled female character, but also of sincere disposition. And these two female characters interacting with this, they're the yin, and they're interacting with this darker yang sort of element in the show. And that's very, very fascinating. I try to consider it from its broader perspective, and there's a lot of sort of, I wouldn't say it's not religious as in preachy, but if you contemplate the day and the era in which it was set, it was a Gothic, so-called Christian type of setting. And there's a lot of interesting themes to do with spiritual life in there. Like, you've got the character of the bishop, and, you know, the bishop is the one that's supposed to set down the law, but, you know, the question mark remains, what does he do behind the scenes, and what really is he deserving of, you know? So it is a spiritual, there's a lot of spiritual themes in there. So it's kind of a spiritual thread and story.
It absolutely plays on that bigger picture of like, is what man having control over its own destiny, and that it's like he plays judge, jury, and executioner, and it's like, should one person do that? Should one person have that power to be making those calls, and should a group of people have the power to be making those calls? Because something else we play with the light and the dark, because there's a lot of contrast used throughout the show, is the rich and the poor, and there's a lot of play between that and how they're treated and pitted against one another. So yeah, it does really play on a lot of the time that bigger picture moment of, well, who really has the power? Who really is the one in control? Should one person have the power and control? Should one person be making these calls and decisions and making calls that impact other people without really thinking about it? Like, yeah, it's huge in terms of that bigger picture, taking a step back kind of storytelling.
Awesome. And can you see those sort of themes in the costuming and the set? Have you guys been able to look at the set?
The set is fantastic. It looks so good, and I'm so keen to get it all up
It's
into
huge.
the theatre. It's
Absolutely
massive.
huge. Yeah.
And we've been looking at it a lot 2D at the moment. Keegan comes in at the start of the rehearsal and like tapes out on the floor so we know what we're looking at, where the levels are. But seeing it in pieces down the green shed where it's all being built, it is massive. And so it's going to look so incredible getting it up into the theatre and into the space. And with the costumes as well, Liam's costumes have been just incredible. And even though they are all similar and it's all very dark, very black and grey, there are moments of the white and the silver that pop through in all of the costumes that kind of link them and weave them together.
Wow.
So everyone is individual but still together, which I think is a kind of recurring theme through the show as well.
Yeah. And I heard sort of whispers that these costumes were used in some sort of anniversary show.
Yeah, some of them were used in there was an anniversary show, I don't remember exactly when, that had, was it the one Anthony Warlow was in? I think so.
I actually don't know the lowdown on this.
But yes, so
Liam's
that
got all the
room is
lowdown
through.
on that one.
There is costume used in, like, I think it was the 25th anniversary show that was done in Melbourne, starring Anthony Warlow as Jekyll and Hyde, and we are using some of those costumes. There are a couple of coats and overpieces and a couple of other things that were worn by the Australian cast of the anniversary tour or anniversary show, including Anthony Warlow. There's a couple of coats that he wore that were
that's pretty
very
cool.
exciting when we heard those were in the building. So. Yeah.
Amazing. And you touched on how much Liam's worked with costumes, but he's also the director. Can you tell me about what it's been like working with him?
Oh, he's great. He's just really kind of laid back, but really super organised. And it's just a really wonderful way of working because you don't have this frenetic type of approach, which has been known to occur before in theatre. But there's clearly a plan. It's calmly delivered. Everybody feels, I think, validated, and we just talk issues through. So it's what I alluded to before, is it's been quite a calm, sort of centred production team and cast, and it's been really good. It's been a very positive experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, he has a really strong vision, and that's really clear, and he knows how to execute it. But he also is really good for, as you said, he's really open and very relaxed in that we can make offers and throw things kind of to him, like, hey, what if we try this, what if I did that, and just lets us have a bit of a play with it and make the show our own. And if it and usually it's a yes, go ahead, I love that, that's great, I hadn't thought of that, to let us play and create as much as we are bringing his vision to life, to put ourselves in it as well. So it's, he's been really good to work under. It's just been awesome.
Terrific. And you're a part of the ensemble. Can you tell me a little bit about that group and what it's been like working with those people?
Oh, our ensemble group is so good. Like, I think we're really strong. But we all get along, we all work really well. Like, we do the playing with each other. Like, we play off each other really well. And in the big ensemble scenes, although there aren't terribly many, when they do come on, they're so powerful and so impactful, with the choreo and the blocking from Em and Liam looks so good and so sharp because we all work so well together and all in sync. But there's always all these little moments that are dotted throughout the show, that if you could come and see it all 8 shows, which do it, buy a ticket to all 8 shows. And you notice something different every time because everyone has their own little character and they have their own little relationships that build throughout the show. And everyone's just been so fantastic to work with. We all get along so well and we're all able to have a laugh and have a good time. But when it comes to it, we can sit down, get it done, and it deliver such a high quality performance. Yeah.
Awesome. And what about the leads? What's it been like working with them? Can you give us a rundown of who people can expect to see taking on those roles? We mentioned Michael before.
Sure. We've got the lovely Hayley. Is it Avery?
Avery.
Avery, yep. Thank you. In the role of Lucy, and the lovely Zoe. Can you pronounce her surname?
Not in public. No, I wouldn't dare.
Zoe's been around in Warragul Theatre Company's productions previously, so she's quite well known. She's got a beautiful voice. I cannot pronounce her surname.
I think it's Zempinski. So it's Zempinski. I might be wrong, Zoe. My apologies in advance.
Sorry,
Zoe.
Thankfully, with a surname like Stewart, that's not too hard. You can't go too wrong. Yeah, so these are our key leads, and all with lovely sort of voices. We did a performance for a Warragul Open Day. Do you remember that?
Yes, the open day. Yes, at the Arts Centre.
Yes, at the Arts Centre. And actually, our leads did some big solo numbers, and I was accompanying them up on the stage there. And we had quite a lot of people coming up going, "Oh, like, are you this ready? This quickly into the show run?"
Yeah.
And I said yes. With a lot of the solo numbers, yes, the singers were ready. But just the tone, the soaring kind of tone that you get out of these singers, and I think I'm not going to say much more because I think you have to come to the show and see them. They are of a very high standard. So we were blown away when they rocked up for their audition. So it's really good.
Yeah, like we sit there as the ensemble and just sit and listen to them, and we are all captivated. We've heard this song 20 times over, but every single time we're just like, wow, that's like insane. Like they are so good. They are absolutely so good.
Yeah, and are you excited to see it on the stage? I mean,
the lighting and the costumes, and I will almost need to pay for a ticket myself, and you said they're watching that much of the show. Because they just are incredible, and they are so in it, and to see how it's developed from the start kind of all the way through to now has just been so incredible, how these characters have come to life and how they have how they've made them their own and how they play off each other so well. Like they're all so good, but all like in their own individual ways bring something different. So it's not like, even though we've got two female principals in Emma and Lucy, and in turn Hayley and Zoe, but they're so different. Like it's not, you can't pit them against each other because they are so different, and but both so good. Like,
and I think well cast for the role and the type of voice that they needed for the role. Yeah, absolutely well cast.
Yeah, and can you talk me through that process of casting? You obviously auditioned. You can tell me what that's like from that point of view, and from I imagine you were sitting on a panel.
Listening. Oh, it's always really quite a wonderful experience hearing people come in and prepare their songs and items for the auditions. Sometimes you get people that come in and you can hear that they've got a lot of vocal potential and talent, but whether or not they can deliver the lines, and so vocally they might be really skilled, but in terms of their theatrical prowess and how they deliver lines and things like that, the director will often have a big say about where that goes, because they need to be able to bring something out of that character in the way they do their reading and acting on a stage and interpretations and things like that. So, yeah, it's a very fascinating process, and I'm always very appreciative of people that come and their knees are knocking and they're saying, oh I feel really nervous. And they still get up and they sing. They usually do a really good job. And, you see something very personal and intimate about these people when they come in for auditions. Yeah, and I've done it for years and seen lots of them. And, it's quite an interesting process, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been on production teams the last couple of years for the youth theatre, and I also work as an administrative position at a high school. So I've been on the production teams for their performances as well. So sitting on the auditioning side is really interesting. But for this show, auditioning, I haven't auditioned for a little while. Obviously, COVID, we kind of killed the theatre industry a little bit. So I haven't auditioned for anything for a while, but it just threw me right back to when I had. You still get nervous, and you still, no matter how many times you do it, you're still like, okay, walking into a group of people and putting yourself out there and leaving everything on the table for them to kind of decide your fate a little bit. It's very reminiscent of Jekyll and the Board of Governors, I'll tell you what. You're scared they're going to get up and nay at you.
Nay, absolutely, positively.
Nay. Which you'll have to come see the show to find out what that's all about.
What's that all about?
But yeah, so going in was, I kind of was familiar with the team already. I had worked with Yolette and with Sam, who's our other MD, before, and Leanne, the production manager. I'd worked with them before. I knew them quite well, so I was more comfortable knowing them. But I hadn't met Liam or Em before. I'd also worked with Cassinda, who is our AD. So auditioning in front of them, who were kind of like the big four, I guess, who make up the decision, was still nerve-wracking. So you walk in very nervous. And then to dance audition too, I can dance, not a dancer, but it does take me, I have to go home, let it sit in my body and work my way through it at home. So going in, doing a vocal audition, and they're like, all right, Dan's audition, this is what we're doing. You're going to learn it and do it and go. And I was like, oh! So that was very nerve-wracking. But you like, no matter what, you go into it and you're like, even if it's not like what they're looking for, I know I went out there and did the best I could and left it all out there on the table. So you feel good about yourself still knowing that you've done that. And then obviously getting in the show as well is still so very exciting and getting to work on it. So yeah, auditions are always a time.
Yeah, terrific. Well, we might wrap it up here, guys. Thank you so much for coming and having a chat with me. Did you want to do a bit of a pitch to your audience members? Who would you like to come and see the show?
Who would we like?
Yes.
Everyone.
Just come.
Just come.
Yeah,
come, get a
just
ticket, come along. There is absolutely something for everybody. Be over 16 though, not a show for kids.
It's
I
not
thought
a
we
show
need to
for
stress
kids.
that.
No.
I have been asked that a lot by parents of kids, like, oh, can we bring the kids along? And I'm like, no, definitely
There's a couple
MA 15 plus, I would say, for this
difficult
one.
scenes in there, it's
Couple
adult
of-
processing.
Absolutely. So, yes, but no, absolutely come on. There is actually, I feel like, something for everyone in the show.
Yeah. That was one thing I was going to add is I liked Liam's take on adding a bit of humour into
Yes.
the storyline.
Yes.
So there is humour there. So it's not
Even
all
the
just
comedy
dark.
lovers
Yes.
There
I
is
think
something
you
for the
will,
comedy lovers.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
you will see that. Yeah, so it's not all just a story of bleakness, but yeah. So anyone, I think there is a lot for everyone.
Absolutely.
In that show, yeah. And it does make you think about the nature of good and evil, and it's a place and a space where you get to just hone your attention on what people are doing on stage, and you're listening to how the whole thing comes together along with the orchestra and fabulous band musicians in there as well, and how it all helps to tell that theme and the story,
and how it all links and it all comes back. It's all very full circle when you really get into it. Yeah,
awesome. Nothing like live theatre.
Nothing like it.
Terrific. Well, Jekyll and Hyde is on at the West Gippsland Arts Centre from May 19th to May 27th. So tickets can be purchased on the West Gippsland Arts Centre website. Thanks for coming along, guys.
Thank you.
Alyssa.
Thank you.